Well, winds of war. They are blowing, and they are blowing stronger. That's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness, by the way. I'm Steve Smith, for anybody who doesn't know. And I said yesterday that I had just designed the Stonemont cup, and it is neat looking. It'll be available on the website probably in a couple of weeks. We'll just see, along with the t-shirts, and I'll let you all know when that's happening. And I also just got done designing the Weenie Weeding cup. Some of you are really going to like that. For those of you who want that special cup to be able to join me in that particular thing that we do. This isn't it, but let me get rid of the weeds here for just a second. Do you know what that is, you new people? I occasionally have somebody come on here and complain about how loudly I gulp when I drink my coffee. And my question is always, my gracious, you are on a preparedness channel, ostensibly thinking that you are preparing to survive the end of the world. How horrible that would be. And it just knocks you off your pin when somebody gulps their coffee. Your survival is in question. Before I get into the war, because it's looking serious, whether it's really serious or whether it's just going to be used to make it look less serious, to be able to jingle us around a little bit more, we will see. But before I get into that, just a reminder that all of my videos are brought to you by the Stonemont series, my books about it's the complete plan on how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a total collapse of everything, which could include anything, right? Anything and everything. It's a great series. It's 6 novels: the reversion, the revival, the renewal, an appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and hostages to fortune. For those of you who don't know, a lot of you out there, I know that many of you out there have already read these, already read all of them. Some of you have read all of them multiple times, and if you haven't read them, you need to. You'll learn a lot, and you'll like them. And they're available through Amazon, links down below, either in paperback or in Kindle, or directly from me and our website, stonemont.us, because this is called the Stonemont series. So become a Stonemonter. Read these. My 13-year-old is just starting to read the reversion right now. So, war, huh? Winds of war. NATO is, and how it affects you. What we should do about it. As preparedness-minded people, what are we supposed to think about this? I'm not going to tell you what you're supposed to think. I'm going to share my thoughts. You're all intelligent people. You know what to think. So NATO is going to do their little war games. Margot over on the Patreon channel. By the way, if you're not with us on Patreon, you ought to come over to Patreon. You got a lot more good stuff over there. And the link is also down below. But Margot made a good point. She said the last time the NATO ran a war games is that little pipeline underneath the ocean, Nord Stream, had a little mishap. Yeah, how about that? Anyway, they're running war games over there. It's going to be 250 aircraft and 10,000 troops. Let's poke that Russian bear some more, shall we? What is the purpose of poking that bear? Because Putin doesn't take poking, does he? Say that 3 times fast. Putin doesn't take to poking much. He's a smart guy. He's an intelligent guy, and he is often. Well, let's just leave it at that, because if I go much further, we're going to get. He's stupid and he's dying and he's dying. All that. No. This guy's a smart one. As are all Russian leaders. As are all their military commanders. As are their consultants and their cabinet and their committees. Unlike our country, we're being run by a bunch of idiots, and and Russia is not. And if more Americans looked more deeply into that situation over there, they would, I think they'd feel very differently about that situation. We don't need to be poking Russia for a variety of reasons. First off, why start a fight you don't have to have? And secondly, if you compare him to Ukraine, the truth is not always what you find on the news, and most of you know that. You know I'm having to dance around this, right? On the other side of the globe, they're telling American citizens to evacuate Taiwan. So, China, Commie China, has been flying into Taiwanese airspace, more and more and more than usual, because they see our weakness. They see our military weakness. They see our weakness of resolve. They see that we are dependent on them. They see what's happening politically in our country. They see that our country is being torn apart by internal strife. They see that America's soft underbelly has grown around, and it's not just an underbelly anymore, but America internally has gotten so soft and corrupted that there's very little of the old strength there. Not just militarily. We have the military strength if we wanted to use it, but we don't have the resolve. But the fabric of our society as a whole has become extremely frayed. Okay, we are and not you all, and I know a lot of strong people, a lot of good people. I also know a lot of good people that are stupid, as do you, and would not stand up. And if, as they say, what was that movie where the paratroopers started landing outside the school? Red Dawn, right? Right. Good concept, but silly movie. And I know it's one of those we all like to. If that happened around here, people would just go, "Oh, wow, yeah, wow. Well, okay. Which line do I stand in?" And I know there's a lot of people like you out there that wouldn't do that, and we'll see. But China sees that, and they see our dependence on them, and they see how we're tearing each other apart here. We are tearing our country apart. Our country, the leadership of our country, is the cancer that is spread throughout our society, and is killing this country. But of course they're mainly focused on their own good and their own money and their own power and all of this. And we've seen this, even though Trump's going in for his arraignment today, finally Chuck Grassley got an unredacted 1023 from the Phoebes and Ray, in which it had been redacted, but now it's not, that the guy over in Ukraine that stumbles and the addict talked to on the phone, well, he apparently recorded 17 of those conversations, just as kind of an insurance policy. 2 by Stumbles himself, and the other 15 by the addict. What happens with that? This stuff between the persecution of Trump and then, a legitimate investigation of Stumbles, it's not at all the same, but it's going to be used as a political football back and forth and back and forth. We'll just watch that game because we can't do anything about it. It'll be interesting to watch. Make sure that you stay up on it so you kind of have an idea of what may be going down. But our enemies see this. They see we're being torn apart, and that makes it very dangerous. What makes it dangerous is that our leaders may as they have in the past so many times. When they get into too much trouble here at home, they start a war. Democrats always start wars. Just like every other war brought to you by the Democrats. Name me a war that wasn't started by the Democrats. I mean, going back to... Okay, the war between the states, you could say that was started by the Republicans because it was Lincoln who started it. Okay, but the Democrats, they just, well, whatever. We won't get into that. That's a whole nother lesson. So that's the danger, that they're going to start a war. And what does that mean to you? Well, it means a lot of things, and it has a lot of preparedness implications. It means that the shortages that we're seeing again right now, okay, there were already shortages. All those food plants that blew up and burned, and all the cattle that died, and all the chickens that were killed, and all this putting great pressure on our food supply. All the derailments that just happened coincidentally, yeah, all of those things. I have a neighbor who, whenever he sees me out here, he's a real... He does something. He either comes out and mows his lawn, or he comes out and makes some kind of noise. We have a history. And that's his passive-aggressive way because, well, never mind. So we see this. And it's coming down the road, and it's getting more serious. As those shortages have already impacted us, as we see the prices continuing to rise, it's coming down on a couple of things, but it's not on everything. And the sustained price increases are hurting a lot of people. We're going to see people losing their houses. It's going to put a lot of economic pressure on society that's going to cause a lot of turmoil among people. And then we have the ports closing down on the West Coast. All of these things, they're creating a perfect storm. They need a war. We need a war. Russia doesn't need a war. China doesn't need a war. We need the war. Not you and I, but our government. To cover up everything that they've been doing. To explain away a bad economy. To explain away everything that they've done. And in preparation for that war, they, of course, have opened up our southern border and imported an enemy army right in our midst. So we know whose side they're on, right? We know whose side they are on. And it's not ours. They are not on the side of the American people. But you know who they will want to draft when something blows up. Something happens. A tactical nuke goes off over in Ukraine. We need to draft our young people again. Something happens in Formosa. I'm showing how Taiwan. Yep. Got to go to war. We got to fight for democracy. We've got to fight to save our democracy. And democracy around the world. And they'll start playing Lee Greenwood's Proud to Be an American. Are you proud to be an American? I'm proud to be an American. I'm not necessarily proud to be a citizen of the United States. I'm proud to be an American. You remember those words in that song, where at least I know I'm free? Are you free? Do you feel free? Are you being freer every day? I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I'm proud of the ones who died who kept that right for me, or something like that, right? Did they die so that we could live like we are today? Not as far as I'm concerned. Okay? And I'll proudly stand up next to you and defend her still today, right? Defend what? Defend a crumbling country run by people are so corrupt I wouldn't let them in my dog's house, let alone my own. That's BS. But they're going to come for your kids, your grandkids, mine. They're not getting mine. They're not. There's no way in hell I would ever let this government have any of my kids. You know why? Because my kids don't belong to a government, and I think that's something people need to get through their heads. I've heard this crap about there ought to be mandatory national service. BS. Do you really know? Do you understand what that implies? That implies state ownership, or at least a state interest in the individual. And implies that the individual is property of the state. No. No. Mm-mm. So the winds of war are blowing. And Stumbles is down there on his knees, trying to blow that ember into a flame. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt if he's able to do it. They do all the things because the American people are so stupid, for the most part. Not you, not me. So stupid that they'll just believe anything they're told. Okay, get ready. What do? Preparedness. Preparedness. Basic preparedness, advanced preparedness, complete preparedness, total preparedness. Here's where that one guy comes in. It's impossible to be totally prepared. I know people who are. You don't? Not my fault. You're saying that because you don't want to do what it takes to become totally prepared. Well, you're not prepared for a nuclear bomb to drop right on top of your house. Yeah, you're right. Well, I'm prepared in that, I'm a believer, so I know where I'm going. That's the ultimate preparedness. But anything short of that, I'm pretty good. You can be too. All depends on what you put into it. So start. If whatever you're doing, I suggest you do a little bit more. If you haven't started and you're just kind of watching these things for fun, you really ought to start. Start something. Start thinking about it. Take it seriously. If you don't, you're just going to do whatever the next person tells you to do, and that can be the opposite of fun. Or maybe you'll be somebody's next meal. You ever think of that? Yeah. Okay, guys. Remember, hey, if you're not with us on Patreon, come on over there. I got some good stuff over there. It'll only cost you $1, and it's really a great community over there. It really is. Really is. And remember, if you want something that will really give you a kick in the butt and say, yeah, I got to get back at it, or I got to get started, and I got to do even better, my books are available on Amazon or through the website, stonemont.us. Get them. Get the hardbacks. I know a lot of people get the Kindles because they like to be able to read it on their phones, and the hardbacks. And that's the best of both worlds. Okay, so there you have it. You all have a good day. Remember, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And you all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.